The Legend of Zelda is a series spanning over 45 games and is one of the most recognized game series of all time. This game series is home to many favorite characters, music tracks, and stories. Honestly, there isn't much that can be said about the series that hasn't already been said. The latest two entries of the series, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, not only break the norms of the series but introduce us to genuinely relatable characters. One of these characters shows what it means to sacrifice everything and to live up to the expectations set by societal pressure. This is the relatability of Zelda from Breath of the Wild. Now, the definition of a relatable character from Merriam-Webster states possible to understand, like, or have sympathy for because of the similarities to oneself or one's own experiences. A relatable character within media has to be able to connect to the viewer in a way that the viewer can place themselves within those situations and ultimately draw their connections within their own lives. There are many examples of relatable characters, some of which I'll show on the screen right now so we can get the gist of it. But when we look at Zelda's character within Breath of the Wild, we see her struggles and expectations placed on her. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's start at the beginning. When reading King Rome's journal, you can gain a sense of how Zelda behaved when she was younger. We are given an entry describing King Rome's discovery of the soon-to-be divine beasts. When he told Zelda about these discoveries, her eyes lit up in excitement. We are told through this entry that Zelda is interested in research. When turning the page, it is revealed that Zelda's mother passed away very early in her life. In this entry, it is said that Zelda never cried, and I must assume her strength is the result of us repeatedly informing her of her duty to be a valiant and steady princess. Even at the young age of 6 years old, King Rome has constantly reminded Zelda of her big responsibility, almost as if she doesn't have time to grieve because she has to take over her mother's place. Given the context of the story, that being Calamity Ganon's arrival that could only be stopped by Zelda or her mother, Zelda does not have time to mourn. Zelda is then ordered by her father to consistently train to gain the sacred healing power that her mother had. However, Zelda's power has trouble emerging. Although Zelda is the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia, she cannot access her power. This causes frustration between Zelda and her father. On the next page, we are told that Zelda wants to research ancient relics. King Rome scolds her and states in this entry, the reason her sacred power still won't awaken is because she's spending all of her efforts playing at being a scholar. King Rome fears what Calamity Ganon might do to the Kingdom of Hyrule and begins to crack down on Zelda, saying that she is worrying about the wrong things instead of saving her kingdom. King Rome ultimately neglects his role as a father and instead remains steadfast in protecting his kingdom over his daughter. Now, the last two pages we see that King Rome regrets how he treated Zelda as he realizes that his efforts were useless as her powers are going to manifest in other ways besides training. The King's Diary entries lets us peek into Zelda's childhood and the pressure of saving the kingdom. This not only stresses Zelda, but damages her ego as he genuinely starts to believe that she is useless. Through Zelda's diary entries and memories hidden throughout the game, we get to see this new characterization of Zelda. What we see in this game is a troubled character. Before the release of Breath of the Wild, almost every Zelda beforehand knew of their role and executed it perfectly. This incarnation of Zelda, however, can't seal Ganon and is ultimately powerless against the threat. Zelda begins to loathe herself as she is helpless against the very thing she was created to seal. This self-hatred grows more as she meets someone who is almost the exact opposite of her. The hero of the wilds, the one who wields the Blade of Evil's Bane, Link, whose relationship with Zelda will be delved into later on. This iteration of Zelda is relatable to the audience because of her constant thoughts of inadequacy, those thoughts being relatable to the most general audiences, as at some point someone always feels that they aren't enough. Emphasize this with jealousy, the feeling of being inadequate is how Zelda can relate to the audience. Now, let's look at the memories of the game that feature Zelda so we can analyze her character and how she relates to the audience. In the first memory, we see Zelda appoint Link as her chosen knight. We see Zelda hold her hand over Link as she says many ceremonial remarks. Her facial expression seems disgruntled. The reactions of the champions also highlight what Zelda might be thinking. I believe Urbosa says it the best when she states,
"That boy is a living reminder of her own failures." Well, at least that's how the princess sees him.
Link is someone who accomplished all of his goals. He is what he is destined to be, a goal that Zelda can't even believe of reaching. After she's done appointing Link, we see her looking away as she thinks to herself. Although we don't know what she's thinking, we can infer that she is deeply disappointed by her lack of progress in awakening her sealing power. Even the subtle way that Zelda looks at her hand when she finishes appointing Link says it all. She feels inadequate compared to the hero in front of her. In the third memory, we see Link and Zelda heading towards Goron City. We see Zelda's eagerness to research the Divine Beast. As Zelda explains her amazement at how the Divine Beast was built by people, she takes a pause and turns towards Link.
Tell me the truth. How proficient are you right now wielding that sword on your back? Legend says that an ancient voice resonates inside it. Can you hear it yet, hero?
Zelda's body language throughout this scene is very melancholic. As we've heard from Urbosa in the last cutscene, Link is the physical embodiment of what Zelda wants to be, someone who can fulfill their destiny and who can't fail. Being around someone who constantly reminds you of your failures damages the psyche. Zelda asks Link this question and almost projects her insecurities. By asking how proficient he is with the Master Sword, she wants to see if Link has any faults, any chips in his armor. Her jealousy grows larger, always being reminded of her uselessness. Memories 5 and 6 continue to show Zelda's emotions towards Link. Memory 5 follows an emotional outburst from Zelda as Link follows her to the shrine due to his orders, most likely from the king. Zelda berates Link, saying that she is fine, and then yells at him to stop following her. Although the cutscene is very short, and one of Zelda's diary entries, we can see how she felt about her outburst. On page 3 of the diary, it reads, "I said something awful to him today. My research was going nowhere. I was feeling depressed, and I had told him repeatedly not to accompany me, but he did anyway, as he always does. And so I yelled at him without restraint. He seemed confused by my anger. I feel guilty, and that guilt only makes me more agitated than I was before." Zelda's outburst against Link embarrassed her. After all, Zelda isn't a mean person. However, the feeling of being babied has been agitating her for as long as Link has been beside her. Link, being the reason for Zelda's growth, follows into. Now on to these two characters. Zelda and Link are both characters that have some grandiose legacy to follow. Link, the hero who slays Ganondorf, and Zelda, the princess who seals Ganondorf. However, how these two characters reach their destiny is how their friendship splits. Zelda views Link with anger and jealousy. To see someone succeed in their destiny while you struggle is a hard pill to swallow. Link to Zelda, as Urbosa said before, is exactly what she desires to be, someone who could live up to their destiny. Zelda's jealousy over Link grows throughout the story and ultimately reaches its peak through the last memory shown. Although Zelda doesn't mention anything about her destiny, it's the outburst of emotion stemming from her inadequacy that causes her to lash out. The relationship between these two is one of the most integral parts of the story. It not only shows Zelda's jealousy, but later on, her appreciation of Link. Although no dialogue is said in this scene, the facial expressions say enough. The way Zelda looks at Link as he holds his stance ready to defend her. She is shocked that even through all the anger that she had put on him, he came for her. We can read Zelda's thoughts to her diary on page 4, which reads, "He saved me. Without a thought for his own life, he protected me from the ruthless blades of the Yiga clan. Though I've been cold to him all this time, taking my selfish and childish anger out on him in every turn, still, he was there for me. I will never forget that. Tomorrow, I shall apologize for what has transpired between us, and then I will try talking to him. To Link. It's worth a shot." After that day, Zelda began to look at Link differently. Instead of being a loud beacon reminding her of her failures, he is someone who will be there for her, even if she claims she doesn't need it. After her encounter with the Yiga clan, Zelda begins to open up to Link, and the result of that is shown on page 5 of her diary. Zelda, after talking to Link, begins to learn more about him. She finds out that the pressures of fulfilling his destiny are also crushing Link. She finds out why Link remains silent, and then begins to wish that she can open up to Link, revealing what has been troubling her for so long. In Memory 8, we get a short scene of Zelda fixing up Link's cuts, Zelda reminding Link to exercise caution for him to fulfill his role properly as a hero. There is more to the scene, but it focuses on the prelude to Ganon's awakening. This short exchange, however, already shows the progress in their relationship. Zelda now cares for Link as Link cares for her. They have opened up to each other and now have that mutual respect. This openness reaches its full apex in Memory 11, where Zelda asks Link a question that reveals her struggle with her inability to seal Ganon.
I doubt this will let up anytime soon. Your path seems to mirror your father's. You've dedicated yourself to becoming a knight as well. Your commitment to the training necessary to fulfill your goal is really quite admirable. I see now why you would be the chosen one. What if one day you realized that you just weren't meant to be a fighter? Yet the only thing people ever said was that you were born into a family of the royal guard, and so no matter what you thought, you had to become a knight. If that was the only thing you were ever told, I wonder then, would you have chosen a different path?
Zelda believes that she isn't meant to seal Ganon. She feels utterly defeated by the choices she has made so far, and her lack of ability to contribute anything towards the sealing of Ganon. This crushing failure that Zelda feels is emphasized due to her lack of time. She almost asks Link out of guidance to see what to do when all she is confronted with is her failure. But no matter how much Zelda ponders, it's still a considerable amount of time has passed and Zelda has yet to awaken her powers, and if the pressure placed on her by her father wasn't enough before, it's getting serious now. In Memory 13, we see Zelda looking over the Guardian's progress and seeming excited. As established before, Zelda is a scholar, and usually, to distract herself, she buries herself in her studies. In this memory, Zelda recently came back from the Spring of Courage with no results. It's most likely the reason why Zelda is looking over the Guardian's progress. King Rome snaps at Zelda for not training and ignoring her duty as the Princess of Hyrule. This aggravates Zelda. To try so hard and fail, and to have someone remind you of your failures, it's upsetting. However, Zelda doesn't have any time left. She goes to the String of Power to pray.
I come seeking help regarding this power that has been handed down over time. Prayer will awaken my power to seal Ganon away. Or so I've been told all my life. And yet, Grandmother heard them. The voices from the spirit realm. And Mother said her own power would develop within me. But I don't hear or feel anything. Father has told me time and time again. He always says, quit wasting your time playing at being a scholar. Curse you. I've spent every day of my life dedicated to praying. I've pleaded to the spirits tied to the ancient gods. And still the holy powers have proven deaf to my devotion. Please, just tell me. What is it? What's wrong with me?
Zelda's second attempt, praying at the Ring of Power, achieved nothing. She failed, once again. This is crushing for Zelda. In the scene, we see her body language as she slams her fist into the water, cursing the fact that she cannot live up to her mother, to be unable to awaken her powers. "What's wrong with me?" she says, as she loses all hope within herself. In Memory 14, Zelda and Link return from a field survey where Zelda remarks that tomorrow will be her 17th birthday, and that on that day, she will visit the Spring of Wisdom. Her lack of self-confidence is highlighted when she says,
To be honest, I have no real reason to think that will be the case. But there's always the chance that the next moment will change everything.
Zelda has lost all hope for herself. She is ready for her failure to strike again. Sadly, in Memory 15, this failure will cost her everything.
You know what usually goes through my mind? It helps when I think about...
It's here.
This is it then.
Are you sure?
Positive.
It's awake. Ganon.
With her inability to awaken her powers and in Calamity Ganon's awakening, Zelda is afraid of what's about to play out. However, she refuses to be put aside. Even with her efforts, 4 guardians and the king lose their lives.
How did it come to this? The divine beasts, the guardians, they've all turned against us. It was Calamity Ganon. It turned them all against us. And everyone, Mipha, Urbosa, Rivali and Daruk, they're all trapped inside those things. It's all my fault. Our only hope for defeating Ganon is lost, all because I couldn't harness this cursed power. Everything I've done up until now, it was all for nothing. So I really am just a failure. All my friends, the entire kingdom, my father most of all. I tried and I failed them all. I left them all to die.
The loss of all her friends, her father. At this moment, Zelda comes to only one conclusion. If I was better, if I would have awakened my power sooner, they would have lived. She blames herself for the death of everyone. She breaks down in front of Link as if looking for him to reassure her beliefs that she was ultimately useless for the effort against Ganon. But Link instead comforts her as she cries in his arms. Conditions only get worse as we get towards our last memory. When every other option is exhausted, we see Zelda throw herself in front of the Guardian and awakening her sealing ability. This scene subtly calls back to when Mipha talked to Zelda about her healing abilities. Though Mipha was cut off due to Calamity Ganon's awakening, we can infer that she was referring to thinking about the person we care about, that person for both of them being Link. It is at this moment where we see a fully composed Zelda. After removing the Guardians and seeing that the Master Sword was glowing, she immediately showed her authority as the princess. She ordered 2 Sheikah soldiers in order to carry Link to the Shrine of Resurrection. Within the story so far, Zelda's princess role has been used against her to show how ill-equipped she was for that position. But here, she's certain. And as the Sheikah soldiers carry Link away, she goes toward Hyrule Castle to fight against Ganon. This memory shows the apex of Zelda's relationship with Link as she risks her life to save him, but also shows the end of her journey, what Zelda was trying to accomplish this whole time. Her awakening was not based on any training or prayer, but the emotion of almost losing someone. The stress of her situation, the loss of all her friends, pushed Zelda to become a better version of herself. This iteration of Zelda is definitely my favorite, a close second being the Wind Waker iteration. Zelda's journey was just so interesting to watch because we saw her struggle to achieve her destiny. Breath of the Wild's destroyed aesthetic meshed well with this version of Zelda because she can see what will become of Hyrule if she doesn't awaken her powers. There were many moments where these memories cracked a genuine smile on my face. To see these characters interact and have these moments, knowing that a great catastrophe was on the way, made these characters way more interesting. To see Zelda's relationship with Link grow from spite to affection, this is what sold Zelda to me. I relate to her struggles, the inability to reach expectations placed so far above you, the feelings of inadequacy. These are emotions that everyone goes through, and to see it portrayed through a character that, in her past lives, has always succeeded, it's inspiring. And that's what makes the Zelda enjoyable to watch. It's even emphasized more in Tears of the Kingdom, but that's definitely a video for another time. Thank you for watching, and this was the Relatability of Zelda. See you next time.